If you're paranoid and suffer inconceivable and totally inappropriate anxiety, hi, how are you? This video is for you. In this video, your insanity will be able to beat the threat because your irrational fear is for once useful. Imagine receiving an invitation of the woman or man or any other of the 537 gender identities with whom you had a child. You haven't seen each other for 2 years and all of your teenage friends are invited too. We got it all covered. We got the charming gay couple, the obese dude that cracks a joke every 5 seconds, the Asian beauty, the blonde introvert, and of course the insanely good looking main dude who looks like he's recovering from a pretty heavy mushroom trip the week before. They're all invited by Eden, their great friend who they haven't seen for 2 years. She suddenly reappeared and sent out invitations to her closest friends for a lavish and completely random dinner party. You are invited too. Congratulations. The couple arrives at the lodge and enters the building. Ever since this movie started, the main guy looks like he's schizophrenic. Weird flashbacks, anxiety attacks, melancholic, looks like he's seeing ghosts. He's basically the better looking version of Mob from Mob Psycho. He's definitely troubled by something. Perhaps the reason why could be that he's visiting his ex-wife in the same house where his child has been killed not too far in the past. If that isn't awkward enough, this dude goes with his new girlfriend. That's pretty savage. I mean, if you are an adrenaline junkie, then man, all the best to you. I won't stop you, but I will enjoy the movie.
Where's Troy?
Late as usual, and I can't get any reception up here either.
Now, if you are this person right now, then the only thing worse that could possibly happen is that your ex-wife is the happiest she's ever been. And not only is she doing great, but her new husband looks like you. Yep, you did something right, my friend. That's a small victory. We have to celebrate those. It is a nice and cozy reunion of a bunch of people that used to have a blast in the past. The dinner party happens inside your former house, but of course at this point it already belongs to your ex-wife. The special thing about this house are two things. First, it's amazing, and second, there is no mobile phone connection, and of course the main line is not working either. That's red flag number 1. Although it would be hard to notice in a real-life scenario. After all, it's just your ex-wife and her new husband who invited you. It's not like they're plotting a killing festival. Fact is, nothing happened so far that could justify any paranoid feelings. But if shit goes down, and I promise it will, there are a few things that are to your advantage. The first thing is, you know exactly about the interior design of this house, and you know the neighborhood perfectly well too. So if shit hits the fan, you can navigate through this mansion like Pac-Man would. This brings me to my next red flag. We are told that there are bars in front some of the windows, and the doors are being constantly locked whenever a new guest is joining. That's weird, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. Imagine breaking in a cold sweat every time your host locks the door because you suddenly start to believe they are members of a cult and are here to poison and murder you to be reborn in an alternate reality where everything's beautiful and cheesy and completely perfect, aka heaven. If this is you, then you may too are a paranoid schizophrenic escapee from a mental institution. But then you suddenly realize you are in LA and everything makes sense. And I thought I'm crazy. There are many characters in here, but let's focus on those that deserve our attention. Let's start with this girl right here. She looks like she killed someone in the morning. This girl is a friend of your ex-wife and her new husband. In fact, they have a triangle relationship. She is the typical hobo girl who's into crystal healing, is into Charles Manson, and wants to get by anyone she encounters wherever she is.
You could fuck me right here.
What?
It goes without saying that this girl is super strange, and you should probably keep your distance from her and never leave your drink unsupervised. She is one of those 1 in a million women who would actually rape a man. But then, just when you started to feel like things can't get weirder, this happens.
She's with all of us now.
Your ex-wife and her new husband pull out a laptop and show you a video of a complete stranger dying. I mean, yo, I'm not sure if that's appropriate at a reunion dinner party. That's a little weird. That's like showing a porn video to people at a baby shower. It's just a bad idea. Now listen, I know what you think. This whole situation just feels wrong, right? Well, yeah, it does, and all of your buddies around you feel the same thing. But the thing with social constraints is that it prevents you to spit the truth in order to not hurt anybody's feeling. Let me tell you this. If you are invited by your ex-wife and her new husband that have a polygamic relationship with a crazy girl that stares at you like Ted Bundy does at women and then go on showing you a video of a freaking random person die on tape, you should pack your stuff and leave. Sometimes leaving the past in the past is a good idea, and if your ex-wife is comfortable being surrounded with complete morons, then man, respect her decision. But respect your own as well. Now, what I would do is this. I would tell them to go themselves and leave. No question. But before I can stand up and voice my frustration, this dude right here starts explaining how he smacked his wife into oblivion. This dude is another friend of your ex-wife and her husband. He suddenly appeared and, took randomly part in an intimate reunion of close friends. Like, sure buddy, have a seat. And who are you exactly?
Something just gave. I turned and hit her as hard as I could.
Let me quote this guy. 8 years ago, I drank whiskey with my wife. We started to argue about the dishes, and so I smacked her as hard as I could. She died. I went to prison, but now I feel guilt-free and feel very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Okay, that's a bit strange, man. If you don't get up and leave at this moment, something is wrong with you, and you might actually belong there. So what do you do in this position? A. It's fine, man. People do mistakes. Let's all be happy and tolerant. Or B, you get up and tell those people they are crazy and leave. I mean, it's quite obvious what you should do, but again, social constraints forbid you to be honest. It's not what you should do, it's what you ought to do. And what you ought to do is be polite and nice. And so you ignore the obvious red flags and continue sipping alcohol, force conversations, and pretend to have mad fun in a house full of mad people. But wait, what is this? Is this a smart person? Could this be one? Did we just find a shiny human? This woman is doing what everyone in here thinks. Get up and leave. More power to you, girl. I want to make a quick side note here. So in this scene, our main guy Will asks her if he should accompany her to her car. I think that's a great idea, but you should never ask that. You should just do it. It's like asking your friend who stands next to the fridge if you can get him something from the fridge. No bro, I can do that myself. If he was seriously concerned about her, he should have brought her to her car no matter what she or anybody else thought of it. Step number 1 to survive, be assertive. In the next scene, the creepy guilt-free murder guy relocates his car so she can leave. Your paranoid ass is glued to the window, probably thinking about all the terrible things this guy might do to her. But instead of going out to check, all you do is staring mindlessly out the window. She's a great friend, it's nice to be concerned, just go out and check, how about that? But he didn't. Instead, he was taken aside by his ex-wife's creepy husband and questioned about why he is so off. Well, if I would be questioned that in this situation, this is how I'd respond. Well, first off, f you, okay? Y'all are creepy as hell. I came to my ex-wife's house for a dinner party the first time after the events with my son. And now her new husband's friends are a convicted murderer and a crazy woman who wants to f me at the poolside. That's insane. Furthermore, you've been going to a weird summer cult camp in Mexico and you showed us a freaking woman die on tape. I'm sorry that I'm so off-put, but is it really so hard to understand? Now, whatever you tend to think in this situation, whether you believe that the hosts are completely fine and you're just emotionally overreacting, or that this is all indeed very suspicious, facts are this is a strange evening, and it does seem like a cult. Therefore, if you don't take any action, aka address it with your long-term close friends in private, then just be extra vigilant and prepared for the worst. I personally wouldn't stay unless I seriously want to prevent anybody from being harmed. But if I did stay, I would pretend to take a short ride around the neighborhood so I can calm myself down. Also, I would send out messages to trusted people about what I think is going on up here. But if things get stranger and you have already committed to staying up here, then as a last resort, you should grab anything that could be used as a weapon and have it at all times with you. If you can't think of anything straight away, thoughtfully observe your environment. What can be used in an emergency? There are some wine bottles, the chairs don't seem to be too heavy to lift up, and there's probably a metal pole near the fireplace as well, etc. It would be wise to locate any useful items and take a mental note of it. Then try to convince your friends one by one in private with a serious tone that there is something wrong. But don't expect them to believe you, because you will sound like a crazy person. Will actually tries that, but what he fails to do is rationally pointing out the facts that I have mapped out before. What you should do is get 1 or 2 friends on board, at least mentally. Every close friend you have would take you seriously if you truly ask for it, especially when what you're saying is completely reasonable which it is. Then, knowing I have trusted allies, I would be cool enough to properly think about what exactly has happened. And luckily it has just been 2 days since I met that weird elderly couple in Red Dead Redemption 2, and so I can spot these red flags like red roses in a bunch of horse shit. So as the red flags keep coming in a steady flow, our dear main character starts to lose it.
No, it's a fucking cult, Miguel! It's a fucking cult!
Will, sit down!
We can't blame him, because it's either you're going mental or you're trapped by a religious cult. So either way, your position is terrible. What happens in this scene is the following. After the dinner ended, the host prepared a digestive drink and handed all glasses to every person around. Obviously, since you're completely paranoid and anxious in any way, you saw the agitation and nervousness in the host's faces. Naturally, you're the only one noticing that because you are the only one looking out for it. Therefore, you have two choices here. Either you conclude that this drink is poisonous and therefore you will destroy it, or you think it is poisonous but also think you're crazy and therefore don't do anything. Well, what Will does is this.
Don't drink it! Don't fucking touch it!
Now, first of all, that takes a lot of courage, but the good thing is, if you have just saved everyone's lives, then you will be a hero, and if you don't and turn out to be a schizo in the next few days, you will be excused. So considering that, destroying is a totally viable response. Everybody's shocked until the hippie freak storms at you at full speed and tries to bite you. At that moment, the Asian chick starts to have a seizure and dies. Side note, she was the only one who drank the glass. What an unexpected turn. The cat is out of the bag, but just at this moment, the douchey new husband lookalike comes in with a gun and shoots down your gay buddy. Damn, what do you do in this situation? You are trapped in a room and there is a guy with a gun shooting at your friends and you. How would you get out of there? There are multiple options here, but from the perspective of someone that has been super skeptic about this whole evening and especially these strange characters, I think you should be in a pretty receptive mental state. After all, you've been thinking about this situation for the past hours. Meaning you won't be as surprised and shocked as someone who just thought this is a regular dinner among friends. So the turnout of the situation here depends on the most anxious and paranoid person in this room, and perhaps this is even you. Therefore you should take cover, arm yourself with a wine bottle and try to attack your enemies. But the downside here is you're quite far away from them and they have a firearm, so attacking is not a good idea in this position. What you should do is get to a safe zone. The best place would be on the ground floor since the only way down there is by the staircase. Meaning if those people try to come after you, which they will, the only way to get to you would be down the stairs. And since we have seen in some of the scenes before, the stairs aren't solid. Meaning if somebody steps down, you could grab their feet from behind and make them lose their balance. Another very important thing at this moment is to stick together. There are only 4 enemies, of which 2 are women. At this moment, your fat friend is still alive and your girlfriend is too. That's at least 3 versus 4, which is much better than just 2 or even 1 versus 4. Once you stick together, get any items that can be thrown and items that can be used as melee weapons. I wouldn't be so concerned about the women. Without a firearm, they barely have a chance against a full-grown man. The real threat here are the 2 sick dudes who both have already killed people before. Unfortunately, your obese friend doesn't stick with you and runs into the opposite direction. That's stupid. It has been very clear that the doors are locked and that there are bars in front of the windows. You, the insane guy, has pointed that out the whole evening. But of course, you just got for it. In my opinion, staying in the house is a bad idea. They will find you at some point, no question. But since there is no exit, where could we hide? Well, before I would hide, I would try to get to the garden where we've been before. It isn't really visible, but in this scene, we could see that there are bushes and trees behind the pool. Obviously, hiding behind those is probably not ideal, but if there is a way through them, perhaps you would face a wall or a steep slope you need to overcome. But if you're chased by lunatics with a gun, then obstructions like these suddenly become very surmountable. And in this scene, for instance, we have seen that there is definitely a way out of the compound here. The question is if you can survive the depth of the obvious descent over there. So I would check out these places first before I would make my next move. The main problem here is the gun. Whoever has the gun in this situation is the winner. So either you get the gun, you make them lose the gun, or you make the gun unusable by making them miss the shots. This is risky but possible, especially by diverting their attention with thrown objects. Will and his girlfriend, who by the way is named Kira, sorry for the delay, are able to move around without being noticed. I guess that's one of the perks in the hillside mansion. The story goes they're still looking for the exit to this day. The crystal girl is out, leaving 3 more. Your ex-wife seems to be on edge and the guy with the gun is not visible. Both make their way up again because Will believed that there was a way out. There wasn't. They ended up trapping themselves. Now, regardless of how you proceed, the fact is there doesn't seem to be a way out. So either you kill or you get killed. This is a deadly hide and seek and you are the one hiding, which is actually not a bad thing because it means you got the power of surprise on your side. I really don't think I need to explain in detail what I mean. Just have a look for yourself. The good thing was your opponents didn't stick together and were completely stupid too. And so a 2 versus 1 was a clear advantage here. They were able to take him out. Next up, your wife commits suicide because she couldn't bear it any longer. What a weakling. And your lookalike gets taken down by one of your gay buddies that turned out to be still alive, which is great. The next thing you do is you go to the garden and bury your ex-wife because that was her last wish. And then you gaze into the dark and starry night and you realize the invitation was not just a single occasion. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Peace.